Marlborough farmer Doug Avery's journey has seen him change from feeling like a victim of his environment to thriving in it. For many years he struggled with low rainfall, but he's successfully adapted his management practices to suit an increasingly dry climate.
Bonneville's 1,500 hectares, about 25% of it planted in lucerne or lucerne mix pastures. A lot of very dry Marlborough Hill country, which is sort of on permanent environmental watch. A few nice native gullies. Our son Fraser runs the business. I'm just a director in the company now, and I've got a stock manager, a shepherd general, tractor driver, and we employ a lot of contractors. The business is based around about 50% sheep, 50% cattle, breeding lambs and selling prime, fattening Frisian bulls, fattening steers that are produced from our own cows. Big component of dairy support in the wintertime. We can bring up to 1,000 cows in here in the wintertime from dairy farms, and we do dry dairy cows to put back into the market. So pretty wide base. Yeah, a big change from being just a pure breeding property to having a lot of options. So we can always be moving that around. There's a saying, if you look at things in a different way, the things that you look at will be different. And we started to focus on drilling down into really what happens in farming. So we used to think that I was a farmer of Corriedale sheep and we ran them. Today we are farmers of water. So our whole focus is on, we get very little water here. How do we use that water? What is the highest return that we can get from that H2O? And we've got it going so well now that we sort of look at it as H3O. We're getting a bit of extra out of every litre of water that falls on this property. Resilience is the word that I like to focus on now, because when you actually start thinking about how resilient you are, you start focusing on the things that matter to that concept. We used to get knocked around every time Marlborough got dry, like it's been the last 2 years. Now we have a system that returns high profits even in those times. So resilience is about learning to bounce forward from your troubles. So in the old days, people used to say to me, oh, Doug, you know, I've had a terrible drought, bounce back. What we like to do now is to be so conscious of where we are in the game all the time that we have the ability to suck it in, to hold through these tight times, and then to leap out and bounce forward and be better than we've ever been before. And we're just experiencing that wonderful feeling again now. Lucerne is a big part about it, but also we've got some other plant systems, like we've got fodder beet, we've got subterranean clover, we've got fallowing systems where we transfer water from one season to the other, and we use plants like Omaka barley and rye corn and triticale and things like that to produce high quality feed at other times of the year. But greater than that even still was to change our systems so that they're more flexible and to have computer systems which manage those processes so that we are way ahead of the game. So we run here the Farm IQ model, which is basically a history recording process of what we've been doing, paddocks and all that sort of stuff. And that is blended with FarmX, which is the most important tool that this farm uses in terms of farm management. That allows us to constantly be months ahead of ourselves on the viability of the program that we've got running forward. Last year I embarked upon a crazy roadshow venture right across New Zealand. Wendy and I, my wife and I, set up a company called Resilient Farmer, and we realised that what we'd learned here has had a relevance to pretty much every other farmer in New Zealand. And last year I did 66 presentations in New Zealand, Australia and Argentina, and spoke to about 6,500 people. It's the most valuable year's work I've ever done in my life. And individual farmers have responded to it in an incredible way. It's a very, very satisfying feeling to be able to share your own personal journey from basically failure, was what we were facing here 17 years ago, to the incredible successful business that we have here today. There's one thing that's as certain as life and death is the sigmoid curve. Every business grows and every business will fail if left unattended. And when you're feeling that your business is doing incredibly well, you need to be introducing new thinking and examining what's going on and looking around you. And the word is building your resilience. Resilience isn't a thing that you get out of bed on a Monday morning and think, by Friday I'm going to have this business resilience. It's a state of mind, it's a mode of operandi. I spend most of my time now as a storyteller, so we've built a beautiful team of incredibly competent people here. And I look back on my life with a little bit of sadness in that I spent most of my life doing $25 an hour work. But if I can spend an hour or two with a farmer today and help him learn how to double or quadruple the economic returns that he's doing without affecting the environment or without requiring a hell of a lot of money, I think that's a higher value work than anything I've ever done in my life.
Welcome back. In January this year, we visited inspirational Marlborough farmer Doug Avery. Doug is using carefully selected crops and plants to get extraordinary results from his land and his livestock.
This crop back here is fodder beet. We've got 12 hectares of that this year. We've always looking to try to find better ways of utilising water and also techniques of transferring water from one season to another. And fodder beets around New Zealand is turning out to be one of those amazing crops which we've known about for years. I grew it in 1971 as a young man leaving school for pigs. And I understand why we didn't carry on growing it, because we didn't understand that we could actually do it in a dryland situation. So that crop there was planted in October and it's had virtually no rain since, and we've achieved that. In the last few weeks, we've had quite a bit of rain, and that will now kick on. So some of the seed hasn't even germinated in that crop behind us. But the simple fact of the matter is it is more efficient at converting water to usable feed than probably any other plant that we use, even more efficient than lucerne maybe. What grass tends to do is it has a bit of a cycle. If you've got irrigation or if you've got consistently good water, you can really rely on reasonable quality. But the crops and the plants that we use don't have that as a backing. We have to go to stuff that we can grab hold of water and use it as a high-value feed at the times we need it. So we're not about creating high-value feed all the time, but there's certain times, like at mating, and then in the springtime when we're growing lambs, we absolutely need high-quality feed. Now, a crop like this may fit into our winter, where we can utilise it to feed an awful lot of animals on a very small part of the farm for a specific period of time. So Fraser always describes our system as being like a jigsaw puzzle, and you need to learn how all the bits fit in so that the picture that you've got in front of you, which we're always looking down the road at, that we want to create, we understand how the bits go in to create those results at that time. So the long game of that is that we now understand how to manage our difficult times without coming to a stop. The way it works is that's still got a sizable taproot, and if you look at a lucerne plant, or if you look at that plant out there, it's got what I would say is the equivalent of a solar panel hanging up at the sun. So the sun's full of energy, and that big leaf that each one of those plants has got is capable of converting energy into usable material for us at a rate that makes other plants like grass and that just pathetic. Grass has got a little skinny thing like that. When it gets dry, it gets all waxed up and it doesn't perform particularly well. The plants that we use have got they've got horsepower, they've got energy, they're energy suckers, and they turn it into opportunity. So there's a lot higher costs in these systems, but in the year that just finished, we had the highest net profit that the business has ever recorded in a year where we didn't get 400 mils of rain. These are ewe lambs, I suppose you still call them here now. There's about 1,000 out there. They're up with the best we've ever had, which is kind of cool given we've had one of the most severe years for 17 years. We'll push them like hell until just before the ram goes out, and with hoggets it pays to plateau them then, so we'll get them growing. We should be able to get them up around that 52, 53 kilo mark by mating time. Then we plateau them. When you plateau hoggets, that tells their little insides that, oh gee, I'm a fully grown young lady now, I'm ready to think about producing babies. And that's the great thing about a crop like lucerne, is we can grow them from birth to weaning so well it's easy now for us to finish that job. So that way you give yourself a really good chance at high fertility. We had to find a crop that could survive without dying when it got dry. And lucerne uses, if you grow just pure grass, 1 millimetre of water will convert into 13 kilograms of dry matter per hectare. If you add clover to the grass swath, the nitrogen effect of that clover produces will accelerate the conversion rate to about 18 to 20 kilograms of dry matter per hectare per millimetre of rain. Lucerne does 28 kilograms per hectare per millimetre of rain, over double. That's where the support processes of our computer software come into it. We have an understanding now of the soil moisture levels that we have at any given time and the kind of response that we can get from a plant like that. This area is the highest evapotranspiration of anywhere in New Zealand. And so when you get this time of the year, we lose approximately, if we've got it available, 5 to 6 millimetres of moisture a day. So we got 35 mils the other day, and that's huge for a crop like this, but for a grass crop it really means nothing, because by the time the grass starts to think, oh, I'd quite like to grow, it's all gone again. So you just live with this ever lost opportunity. What we did was set out to create settings where no matter what the weather gods throw at us, we can turn it into profit. I describe that often to people as being like peaks and valleys. So when we have wet years here, the peaks are really easy to achieve. But historically, for our family, which have been nearly here for 100 years, the dry patches, which are occurred ever since we've been involved, are frequent and debilitating. So they were constantly causing us to have to stop and then rebuild energy again, and we missed the opportunities. So we call those bad times our valleys, and what our energy sources are all about is making it so that we can manage the tough side of our business and go through there without it affecting us too badly.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.